Welcome back then to Repton for the fourth and final time today. A second League Cup semi-final and fourth game, but this one probably the game of the day, potentially. Loughborough students facing Manchester. Went up your owns alongside me again. I'll quickly run through the two teams. Manchester, first of all, with Kai Bones starting in goal. Not got a lot of game time this year, but back in, and Miles Chadwick as the sub. Jordan Edge, Jeff Adubafor, Scott Thompson, and Tom Uniatovic start. Miles Chadwick, as we said, the sub-keeper. Jake Barnes, Jan Myveld, Salim Karimi, Sam Richardson, the player manager, Uriel Orejo, and Jans Crummins make up their substitutes bench. For Loughborough, Sam Meisel starts in goal. He'll be joined on court to start by Jamie Hunter, Nathan Riches, Fabio Teixeira, and Alex Sibery. Jamie White, the sub-keeper, Sam Dark, Ivan Borges, Tom Dorr, Luke Abdi, Joe Hume make up the rest of their bench. Jose Lorente is their head coach. What are you expecting from this one?
Yeah, it'll be a good game. I think, of course, two Tier 1 sides that have naturally been top four over the last few years. So, yeah, it'll be good. Both young English dynamic sides as well. So I think it'll be a real battle. Of course, Manchester getting the better of Loughborough in the league fixtures this year. But as we know, in the Cup, anything can sort of happen. Loughborough will want to get to that final, play for silverware, as well as competing again for that top four position. Manchester, of course, getting into that top position and probably about to cement the league. They'll want to get that silverware, their first piece of silverware, to sort of help them into that playoff battle as well.
Yeah, I think it's a really intriguing one for me. I think Manchester probably will feel they're one of the obviously two standout sides this year. They'll be favourites coming into this, but Loughborough off the back of a win here against us, Derby last week, will feel that if they can disrupt and play with a bit of confidence and disrupt Manchester's flow, they have tools in their arsenal that can perhaps hurt them. I think that'll be the key thing for them is can they turn this game into their game? Can they make it a scrappy one? Can they cause that chaos that we know that Loughborough can work so well in? Whether Manchester get control or not and can get big weapons like Jordan or Jeff on the ball. And we're underway then. Manchester with a kick and take that early possession. And here we go, we're in straight away. Jeff Adubafor. Nathan Riches did really well to recover after initially getting caught wrong side.
Yeah, Manchester really worked that opposite winger quite well in their 4-0 system. They punish a lot with diagonal balls, especially when the ball's on the far side. Having that winger that can run into space, and that's what I was saying before about Harry Tozer. He used to be that real threat in behind and attacking that space and got a lot of goals through those scenarios last year.
Yeah, he's been quite a big miss for them, hasn't he? Despite them doing as well as they have done through the season, he was a real threat for them. And I know we played them in the Cup at the University of Derby last year, and he was the standout player for me on the day. Him and Jeff, actually, exactly what you're saying, looking to try and find themselves 1v1 on the opposite side.
Yeah, and I think that's where Tom Uniatovic has really come into play a little bit. You've got players here like Jordan Edge wants to play that diagonal, wants to dribble with the ball. You've got Scott Thompson that wants to attack those areas like we're seeing now. And then Harry Tozer really on that other side. Last season was doing that quite well, and now it's really on Tom to be able to do that, as well as Jeff probably add something different to his game and do that as well.
Here is Jeff Adubafor, finds Edge, his captain.
I'd like to see Loughborough just these minutes, just disrupt Manchester's possessions a little bit more. That's what Manchester want. They just want to feel themselves into the game. From playing them in the past, when you allow them to do that, that's when they are at the best. If you can disrupt it in the first few minutes, that's when, again, it'll cause them a little bit of problems and they can't get into their rhythm. So I'd just like them, as good as intense their press is, I'd just like to see that last little step in terms of going to try and win the ball or disrupt that play.
Sibery there, stepping in well after giving the ball away. Manchester kicking. And here is Tom Uniatovic. Finds Adubafor on the left. Good strike. 1-0. All a bit easy, wasn't it, in the end? And you say, very easy down the line into Uniatovic, and then he's able to find that square ball. Jeff Adu before takes full advantage.
Yeah, Loughborough still like defending quite high and positioning themselves quite high in terms of a high block, but not really pressing the ball with intent to either shut down lanes or to really try and win and disrupt that ball. And it was played down the line quite easy to Tom. Switched across to Jeff, and then I think Sam would be disappointed with that goal. I think he got caught in between going with his hands and sort of the split save. I think in those situations just needs to understand where his body weight is, and potentially it was an opportunity for a split save rather than going with his hands.
Jake Barnes onto court, wins, kicking off that pressure on Jamie Hunter. Here's Scott Thompson. Back to Barnes, Manchester again, just happy to have possession.
I think Loughborough just struggling in the sort of defensive reorganisation phase at the moment. Like that, they all set off a little bit, and then but when one player goes to press, the other player is just a little bit slow to react in terms of then to lock on man for man. One seems to be going, but it doesn't seem to be joint, and that's where Manchester are then just able to unlock that sort of pass forward, and that's what they'll be looking for.
It's quite interesting that obviously no Neil Morgan today. He's someone who tends to start games for Loughborough, and then Joe Hume not starting now onto court. Perhaps just something slightly different from Jose there in terms of his starting forward, and whether with it being a cup game he's just giving someone else a start. Nathan Ritchie's you wouldn't tend to see start a game in Tier 1, I don't think. But
yeah, I think it probably started him to maybe try and stretch it a little bit. It looks a little bit more like a natural pivot and going into those positions there, but they just really couldn't find those vertical balls to him, or again didn't really get hold of that ball. Manchester having longer periods of possession, and then it becomes really hard to then create opportunities once you do get it.
Again, ball runs free, outplay, and Kai Bone, I think, probably gets his first touch.
Yeah.
Araujo, back to Uniatovic, out to Thompson on the left, Siberian quickly, but strong enough, and Thompson wriggles free, goal clearance.
Yeah, again, just that moment. Again, Fabio, I think, followed the player through, and then that secondary pressure on the side, just a little bit too far off, and then Scott able to take that ball down the line and then get a shot off. I think it's just, they just need to sort that out, I think, a little bit quicker at the moment. Like Manchester getting a lot of success in terms of as soon as that first runner goes through and playing that sort of diagonal ball, that secondary pressure, just a little bit off it.
1-0 here then, 4.5 minutes in. Manchester being in control, really. So far, so good for them. Good effort from Myval, just not quite on target, but direct one.
Yeah, Manchester exchanging quite hard on that first line, taking a really high press as well. Just be nice to see Loughborough maybe combine between the lines a little bit, knowing that they are going to press with that 2-2. There's opportunities in space to stop in those gaps in between and just cause Manchester a bit of a problem.
His edge breaks, does touch lane down, and here we go. Richardson looks to square it, or just as well.
Yeah, Jordan's got a really good ability to carry the ball, especially in those sort of counter-attack situations, which, again, can engage one defender, two defenders, and then all of a sudden you are going to have that natural overload.
Just a pause here. Right off the ricochet, just takes one painful one. Give us it's really interesting, isn't it, watching Loughborough, and probably they played against us last week, very individual and quite intense man-to-man in the way that they were defending. If anything here today, probably tried to be a little bit more disciplined. It's probably not quite paying off.
Yeah, even there on the set pieces, they're defending quite deep at the moment, and Jan's already had a couple of shots on the exterior. You can see Luke Abdi here already taking a more aggressive position. So I think that's probably something they've already addressed. But definitely opportunities to see shooting from the outside. First two are just on the 10-meter spot now because they're taking a more aggressive approach on the first man. They're having to do the volley, but still it's something that they need to try and sort out.
Here's Luke Abdi, finds Borges. Pass forward, he's just too far ahead of him. Great to see Luke Abdi back playing. Been out of action for a long, long time with a really nasty, I think, double ankle injury in the end, and someone who I know Loughborough think really highly of, and right through after playing a lot of games in their Tier 2 side, and nice aggressive winger.
There we go. And that's where I think Loughborough have always been successful over the years, just pressing a little bit more aggressively, really taking it to the team, especially with considering how young they are, how physical they are. I'd just like to see them be a lot more aggressive out of possession and really cause Manchester a problem. I think that's something you guys did really well, especially in your game against them this year, where here against Repton, where you nearly beat them. You really took the game to Manchester. I think that's what Loughborough need to do now.
Yeah, I think for us in that game, we almost viewed it as a little bit as we have done against Bloomsbury and Manchester and in the games all the way through, and Bolton to a certain extent, was we viewed it as a little bit of a free hit. Like nobody was expecting us to come and get a result. And edged us really well, and Sam Meisel just really a little bit got caught a bit flat-footed, I think, and just kept that alive almost, didn't he?
Yeah, as a goalkeeper in those situations, especially when there is a player going towards the byline, you can be aggressive and step off your line and open your body up a little bit, knowing that you're probably going to look to intercept the ball, not wait for the cutback and then to save the shot. And I think he got caught deep on his line there, and then couldn't adjust his body to actually collect the ball. He had to just kick it away. So yeah, say just easing himself into the game probably at the moment.
Yeah, hasn't started a lot of games in the NFS this season. Tends to be the first choice keeper at Bucks level, but different kind of challenge for Sam Meisel today. Very, very capable goalkeeper though. Someone obviously I know you will know fairly well from his time before university, but
yeah, spent a lot of time with us at Bloomsbury in the academy system, and then of course in Tier 2 as well. Really good attributes, really good. I'd say he scored quite a lot of goals in Bucks this year and a couple in NFS. I know that he managed to get a goal against you guys, Matt. But yeah, real danger from especially using the goalkeeper where he can strike from range, and of course defending fly keeper seems to have mastered the art of getting the ball and sort of clipping it into an empty net as well. So yeah, loads of really good attributes as a goalkeeper. Probably just needs to ease into the game psychologically in this one.
Edge, I do before. Loughborough looking to switch right to left. Here's Edge again. Keeping it alive, and suddenly ends up with a clearance off the line and a save from Meisel.
I think the issue at the moment on the first line at Loughborough as well, that sometimes they're following, sometimes they're exchanging, so that there seems to be a bit of confusion in those players then who they're picking up. So after that first runner, like we said, ran through there, I think it was Luke Abdi, got caught in terms of not knowing whose man he was, and it's causing them an issue at the moment. So yeah, just need to clarify on what they're doing on that first line and how aggressive they want to be and who's following who.
Edge again, looking for Thompson. Thompson does well, looks for the return ball, and just away from Jordan Edge there, wasn't it?
Yeah, and what Manchester are trying to do now is quite interesting. So that first runner will go through, float a little bit higher. They'll try and connect them with that player as sort of a false pivot, and then the runner on the second line will then try and play off him and gain the back of his defender. So they're doing it. They're sort of adjusting quite well, Manchester, to what Loughborough are trying to do defensively, and therefore they're getting a lot of success from it.
It's probably similar to what we were discussing in the last game that we probably wanted to see from Maidenhead a little bit more, wasn't it? And going a little bit more vertical in there, and without that natural pivot in there, you know, Radisha King not around for Manchester. Have to do something else to try and get that game more vertical. Of course, they do have Sam, I suppose, who they could use there, but
yeah. So you see there, like, comparison to the game before, how high Tom's gone in the corner, even when they were attacking against Loughborough just then in a half-court scenario. That ability to go high and stretch it, and then either play the long ball into him or combine horizontally here between the back three. So it's something they're doing quite well at the moment.
So 8.5 minutes in, Manchester lead 1-0. Be really comfortable 1-0 so far as well, and be really happy with their start to this one.
Yeah, Loughborough have just brought Ivan Borges on, send him a little bit high. What Fabio needs to do there, what they need to do as a back three now is sort of stay connected, offer passing lanes a little bit more negatively like Tom's doing here, and just allow that space to then go into. Like here, Fabio's disconnected quite quickly. They brought Sam out. It'd be interesting to see how they start using him. So yeah, it's nice to see that use of goalkeeper being a little bit more dynamic. I know that Loughborough usually set up with the keeper wide, but having the winger cut and then the keeper come out, you can see that it causes teams a bit of a different problem. Rather than knowing that the keeper's already out there, this is how we're going to organise our defence. That can sometimes be a little bit easier. When it becomes like that, it's a lot harder to reorganise defensively.
Tom Doerr looking for the diagonal in search of Sam Dark. Scott Thompson cuts it out, but a little bit better from Loughborough, isn't it? A little bit more promising, looking to play forwards.
Yeah, you can see Sam just floating here as well.
Adubifo does well to retain possession with a kick in. Manchester have that chance to play out again. You can hear quite vocally there Sam Meisel asking him to just come a little bit deeper than probably they'd normally do. Loughborough would try and be a bit higher, and
yeah, so it's definitely something they've planned in terms of probably being a little bit more passive in that first line and sort of operating a mid-block. It'd be interesting to see if that changes as the game evolves, if they are still losing 1-0, of course. And again, seeing how they act on that first line in terms of, are they going to exchange on that first line, are they just going to operate man-to-man, so they can have a little bit more clarity.
Done well there, equally well. Tom Ignjatovic is in quick. Dark looking to go long early for Borges, he does well. Runs out of room in the end, and that's the issue with this court. I think sometimes that catches players out. There isn't a lot of room in them wide areas to go 1v1.
I think you've got to be a good player to go 1v1 against Jeff as well.
Barnes, loose one. Sibri in quickly. Barnes is back in.
So again, it was good pressure by Sibri, but I was looking at the back two players here, Jamie Hunter and Fabio, and they're having a little discussion around which player they should be picking up. So I think that's still a concern in terms of who's picking who up at the moment. You can see Jake's free at the moment. Again, Alex just getting caught up between two minds of if he should be pressing that first man or if he should be covering Tom Ignjatovic there as well.
It's an interesting one then on that. So when you have these kind of moments as a team, I know from my point of view, I'd ask Derby, my team, just to probably go man-to-man and stick and don't have exchanges and just know just until we sort ourselves out, just to make sure we're following runners almost and try and make sure that we adjust into the game and get a foothold in the game before that. How would you manage that?
Yeah, I think it's just like we operated a very harsh exchange system that, as I say, we had to work quite a bit, quite hard on. But I think it's just you need clarity, defensive defensive principles, I think, do need to have set rules that you do follow. So when there is accountability or questions like on court, that players know exactly what the answer is, we can go from there. Of course, like you said, that the good thing about man-for-man principally is that there's a lot of clarity around that. You know that it's your man, and then of course there'll be sub-principles around jumping, the cover, all of that side as well. But it's definitely worth a conversation for them at the moment. I think Manchester just exploiting that a little bit too much at the moment, and floating into those spaces of doubt. We always say that the moment of exchange it can be the moment of doubt for the defensive side. So for the attacking team to exploit that is, which is what Manchester are doing, it is quite good to see.
We saw, as one was talking there, the first foul of the game against Manchester, foul on Tom Dorr, and then strike there for Jamie Hunter off the free kick and the passage of play. Sam Meisel again coming into play, and nice one. And Jamie shot is saved by Kai Bone. Good save. Good, nice little routine. I think that's one out of Bloomsbury playbook almost. That Conor Miller.
Yeah, I'd like to see. This is where, as defenders, they can start to communicate with each other. Like, you know that Jamie Hunter's a left footer, but he's starting at the back of the pitch, and then he's wrapping around. Like, you know that he's probably going to be the shooter and the striker coming around. So as a defender, naturally you can take a step out and just cause the attacking team that problem of, can you now find the solution when I do step out? This is where Jake needs to have a look, see what's going on. So after that first blocker comes in, can you sort of adjust and then put pressure on them to really play that one and keep the ball in that area?
Yeah, and just a couple of times there in possession, Tom Dorr almost got down that channel and cut off the whole of this left-hand side of the court, where Alex Sibry seemed to have 5-6 metres of space. Yeah. Just perhaps mix up what you're trying to do a couple of times. And Teixeira.
This is something Manchester do quite well defensively, is they do overload one side quite a lot. You saw Jake even there covering across that 1-2 with Fabio, which meant the opposite side was quite free. And if Loughborough can sort of combine to then switch, it will punish Manchester a little bit more. That's something that we noticed last year in the final of the cup, and we managed to switch the ball, get it down the line into Wardy, and then combine and finish. And when Manchester do overload one side, it's really on your speed of combination to then switch the play, which can really punish, like you saw there, Uriel moving across. So it's the right ball to try and play it in behind to the opposite winger, but they've just got to find that technical detail to be able to exploit that.
Barnes with a kick in. Myvolt, Sam Richardson onto court. Uriel Araujo goes back to Barnes. Here's Myvolt. Jamie Hunter in really aggressively there, does well. Teixeira, equally, Jan Myvolt does well, and suddenly Manchester the chance to break. Challenge Alex Sibry. And now it's Loughborough's turn. Can they counter? Foul off the ball there on Alex Sibry. Excellent defending from him.
Yeah, and it's first real chance that we've seen Uriel be able to go 1v1. I know it's from a transition moment there, but yeah, you associate him with being able to go 1v1. It would be nice to see him a little bit more if they can create those opportunities for him in terms of isolate maybe one of Loughborough's weaker defensive players against him out here once they do go into that low block situation and create something else.
Interestingly, what almost started that phase of movements is a really aggressive challenge right in front of our commentary position by Jamie Hunter, and something they, as we say, Loughborough almost need to be willing to step. When they are going to engage, they've got to be quite aggressive with it, haven't they? And Jamie will bring that, sometimes a little bit too much, but again, good save, really good save, Carbone. Manchester with a chance here, potentially. it is Hunter who gets back in. He did well there with his movement round and the header to the second post.
Yeah, no, definitely. They're playing a little bit more vertically now, which is good. Like we just said, the opposite winger there, they're trying to work it. So now they're starting to combine on that side to then exploit this side, which is really good to see. So the more they can do that, I think that the more they can cause Manchester a problem.
Edge drives forward as there's a bit of a tangle on court. Not really sure what happened between Sibri and Araujo there, but
yeah, just a bit of afters, I think.
Yeah. Peter Nurse never going to be bought by that one. Good chance, and Hunter does well just to snuff out the danger. Meisel clings onto the ball. Hugh looks for Sibri forward. Good chance here. Shearer. Bone does well.
Yeah, and I think it's just wrong execution technically. I think to open up your body from there, I think he's got to either use that right side to take it onto his left foot and then smash it across goal, so it's going away from Kai Bone. To open up your hips like that, that type of finish is going to be difficult to be the keeper from there.
Yeah, it's that or that early one, isn't it? That toe poke one almost.
Yeah.
Unusual because he's one that he does very well, Fabio, as well in those situations. Again, looking to use Sam Meisel to get out and try and play, but doesn't come off for them. Manchester build again. It's Edge. Richardson. Nice switch to Myval. There we go, 2-0.
Yeah, and I think this is the problem always with a mid block or a low block, and it's if you do make a defensive error, teams can punish you straight away. But again, like you said before, even if you are starting to defend at line 2 or 3, operating a mid block or low block, once the ball enters that area, you've got to put real pressure on the ball. So the principles of the game are always the same, whether you're pressing high or pressing low. Like if you're pressing in if you're defending in your own half, you still have to apply pressure on the ball because there's shooting lanes on. If you're pressing really high, you've got to press the ball because passing lanes are on. So principally, it's exactly the same. But I'd just like to see a little bit more pressure once the ball gets into these areas here. If not, Manchester have the ability to be able to exploit those passing lanes or the shooting lanes that open up a little bit more deeper as well.
That's something I was really disappointed in last week with our performances. I thought first 10 minutes we set up quite deliberately to almost go to a half court block and force Loughborough to try and play through us. And early stages of the game we were really aggressive in that. Pauses to Shearer as the free kick, comes back off a do before, but yeah, we were really aggressive in that and caused Loughborough problems, and then we almost took our foot off and became quite passive and allowed too many shots and too many opportunities for them to get chances through us, and then those mistakes started to creep in, and at the moment we're our own worst enemy defensively. That we make too many mistakes, which means that we were almost too easy to beat. Good opportunity for Hunter there off the kick-in.
I think it's a real key terminology for the players as well, because I heard a coach the other day say it's about high press, mid press, low press, and I think that sort of terminology just allows the players to know that even if we are defending low, then we're going to still be pressing that ball to try and win it. Because you have to think when you are defending that deep, the opportunities are there to press the ball and then counter with players beyond the ball. So yeah, if they can just apply that little bit more pressure, I think that they could force Manchester backwards as well as to steal the ball.
Straight into Kai Bone's arms from the corner. Shearer just trying to find that second post area.
Done well catching that one.
Not played a lot this year, has he, Kai Bone? Probably testament to him competing with another really good goalkeeper in Miles Chadwick, but an exceptional keeper himself, and I'm sure will be disappointed that he's not played more.
Yeah, say Kai's been around the scene quite a long time. I remember we played him years ago, and he's still good to see him doing so well. Definitely an incredible shot stopper from shots from distance, and I remember one from Totti in the final a few years ago that he managed to clip over or onto the bar, which was an incredible save. But yeah, really probably just not playing as much now, just down to the nature of Miles coming in, who's really pushed on in the last couple of years as well.
Thompson looks to play forward for Edge. Good save by Meisel. Thompson does really well defensively to shield that out. Goal clearance.
Probably could have given a foul.
Yeah, I think the fact that the ball probably runs out of play means he was quite happy to let Manchester just have the possession, but as you say, 3.5 minutes in, perhaps the easy one.
I'm sure if it was on 5 fouls, a bit more would have been made of that. Interesting watching the benches at the moment. Manchester seem very relaxed. A lot of conversations, a lot of smiling as well. Loughborough players having a lot of conversations between themselves. Looks as if they're trying to resolve some issues as well, and really see where they could take this game. But how does it compare to the Loughboroughs used to play, Matt, in terms of like when Jow was here, of course, and the successful program that they've had over the years?
Yeah, so we've, bizarrely, considering how close they are to us, we've not played a lot against their first team. A lot of these players have been players so who we've come up against probably for the last 2-3 seasons. The likes of Tom Dorr, Ivan, Luke Abdi have been in and around the Loughborough setup at B team level and worked their way through. And I think the biggest thing I always found when Jow was here, that they had a coach who's obviously gone on and coached at an international level, and there was always, I always felt like they had a plan B in there, whereas I think they have a really set way of playing that works for them now, and sometimes if you can stop their plan A, plan B doesn't come. That's a really good chance, isn't it, for Jake Barnes?
Yeah, again, like we said, just too easy to find the pass between the lines, and that's just based on pressure on the ball. So it'd be nice to see a little bit more pressure on the ball. That's a really good ball, though. So it's similar to what they need to be doing probably to Manchester. It's a good opportunity as well. Probably should square that back. But similar to what they should be doing to Manchester. Manchester just punishing them with it at the moment, like finding bodies between the lines, just allowing that moment of doubt and then working that first line runner off. And they're just struggling really to cope with that at the moment.
Ujnjetovic, he goes back to Thompson. Pressure from Hunter on Barnes. Interesting battle between them two, and Abdi, quite theatrically maybe, but strong challenge, wins the kick in. And now Sam coming up, 2.5 minutes to go. Just off this, just to give Manchester something else to think about, something, a feature of their game almost, Loughborough, and something they use quite a lot, especially with Sam Meisel on court, who is technically very, very strong. And I'm not sure he has made the right decision dropping there where he has, and perhaps probably should have stayed on the next phase as well, just to left Jamie Hunter a little bit isolated.
Yeah, they probably could have worked that a little bit more on that first line between the two. Manchester had only sent one player high to defend the two. Therefore, it's an opportunity then to either just directly find them, playing a ball through them, or say combining with maybe a third player that drops in and bounces it to Jamie. Probably didn't help that they were both left-footed at the back of the court, so having a left foot and a right footer there means that they could probably take a shot from that sort of distance as well.
Ran out of room there with that long ball over the top, looking for Araujo. But Uriel's, that's the kind of areas you want Uriel into, with that pace and that speed of thought that he's got, isn't it? Just quite a quick court here, and I think it runs away from you quite quickly if you're not.
Yeah, it's say playing here previously, it does run quite quick as well. So I think sometimes you have to probably underhit it or put a bit of spin on the ball so it holds up.
Edge again looks for Uriel. Just clever idea, didn't quite come off. Myvel on the back foot.
I think those passes are quite difficult. It's a good opportunity there to take it, allow the player to come behind and then heel it just to slow it down slightly. Good opportunity there.
Really good opportunity, yeah, and Sam Meisel's done really well to get back in. Manchester disappointed they've not got a corner with that one, but I think that's where just Tom Dorr just got caught Probably trying to be a little bit too direct maybe and not reckon. Well, he knew the goalkeeper was up. I don't really know why he engaged 1v1 as he did, and that sometimes young English players see that ourselves. I had a similar situation last week when we were playing fly goalkeeper where it was Liam Hunt went and engaged, and the ball breaks to Sam, who scores actually from that. But
and again, like Loughborough not really knowing that Manchester exchange on that front line, they've got to attack that exchange. So players at the moment playing it and cutting through a little bit too quickly. You've got to cut through a little bit slower and just pause and sort of just add that layer of confusion to that first line that's going to exchange you, then cause a bit of an issue. And the same again here, Manchester defending the use of the goalkeeper or fly quite high. That's when you've got to try and get a player in between the lines there and just cause them a different problem.
to Shearer, looks for Door into Hunter.
Good feet.
Good feet, runs out of room, and Thompson and Edge do well.
Good play by Alex.
Yeah.
I think that's an opportunity there for Sam when he does get that type of ball to dribble towards the defender and just engage at least one. Let the defenders give the solution to you. Which side are they jumping from? Which side are they defending from? And then just play like using the keeper is a natural overload in terms of a 5v4, and you've got to create that by engaging with the defender. If not, they'll just allow you to play it back, and then you're out of the game.
Yeah, it's something we really struggled with early in the season against you guys at Bloomsbury with Dimar when he was coming out, because he does look to go and engage you. Advantage there played, and then Loughborough with a chance to break here. Good defending, Jan Myveld.
Yeah, Jan's defending that really well. He's delayed quite well. There's an opportunity there. As soon as the player sort of puts his body weight on his knees, you've got to tack that through an extra touch and then switch it across. You know, then he can't really be mobile to sort of recover that run. So yeah, it's probably just another touch in it, and it would have sent Jan out of the game probably. Ball running onto the court a little bit there.
Here's a chance now for Manchester break. Edge, right on the buzzer. Really good block from Fabio. But good half for Manchester. They'll be pleased with their lead, and Loughborough with work to do.
Yeah, Manchester didn't really create a lot in that last like 5-6 minutes, but they'll be happy with how the game's gone in terms of very controlled. Loughborough got back into the game a little bit in terms of press, probably being a little bit more aggressive, and then just playing a little bit more vertically. Alex Sibury going a little bit higher as a pivot. Just like to see them combine with him maybe a little bit more, and then again just have clarity in that use of goalkeeper in terms of like they do have a strength in Sam being able to shoot from distance. How can they create opportunities for him to do that as well?
So 2-0 at half-time then. Manchester in the driving seat, looking to book their place in the final. Stay with us, second half coming up. Welcome back. Final half of futsal here today at Repton. We've got Manchester leading 2-0 against Loughborough in the second of 2 League Cup semi-finals. When we spoke quite a bit first half about what Loughborough need to do, how do you think the half-time team talk will have gone in their changing room?
Yeah, like we said, it's cup games, so 2-0 down, they need to score, they need to go forward, they need to play aggressively now. They've got one half to try and score. That's already one vertical ball trying to play through and forward. So that's the similar pathway they need to try and follow the whole half. Can we play forwards? Can we get shots on goal? Need to score and get back into the game.
Yeah, straight away, Jamie Hunter there being quite aggressive in that situation, wins himself a corner. And they work into here, looking to find Hunter. Riches. Shots deflected. Not had a lot of minutes, Nathan Riches, but interestingly started both halves. Again, probably a bit more of a natural pivot than they've got elsewhere in their squad, so perhaps part of their thinking. There we go. They've got one back.
Really good set piece, that.
Fabio Teixeira finishes it. As you say, really good set piece. Disguise on that almost first line, wasn't it? And plays between the top two in the shape. And
to be fair, it was already sort of announced on the previous set piece. So if we look at the previous corner, 2 players are drafted out, and you had the through ball that didn't come to anything. Jamie Hunter had to take a wide shot, which would result in a second corner. And the same thing again. So Manchester not closing the middle quite well there. That first player we spoke about in the last game, Maidenhead and Genesis, that first player jumping out, and it just allows for that through ball if players can then adjust their body position and you can find the right ball into the middle.
Really good early goal from Loughborough. Great response. Only in a tough first half. It's Fabio Teixeira who gets it. Edge back to Barnes. Forward to a do before. Thompson. There's that pass, isn't it? That diagonal, yeah.
So Manchester again looking to combine on this side to try and switch it and then gain the back of the defender on the other side.
Well defended this time. Danger's not over. Manchester kicking. Edge to take.
We're quite deep there.
Barnes finds a do before. Again, Loughborough still remaining very deep. Now looking to perhaps engage a little bit higher. Sibreed as well in the 1v1 with a do before, but Manchester corner.
Yeah, again, that first line pressure, doing the first bit quite well in terms of to get across into the defender, but just probably a little bit too far away. If you're about a metre away from the defender, you have to think what his passing radius, from the attacker, sorry, you have to think what his passing radius still is. So this situation here, metre away, he's got a load of space there to exploit if he wants to.
Edge. Looking to work that ball right to left Manchester. Barnes into a do before. There's Thompson on that right hand side. Edge now looking to engage. Alex Sibri comes inside. It feels to me like when Jamie Hunter's in that sort of first line defence, Loughborough are much more aggressive than they are at any other stage. We've spoke about already the fact that he is quite an aggressive player, but that's where they need to be most times. Manchester having too many spells like this, aren't they? Where
and this is the danger. Like you've just scored, your emotions are high, your momentum's high, the momentum is with you, and all of a sudden we're now allowing Manchester to keep the ball for 30, 40 seconds, taking the sting completely out of the game there. And I think that's the problem, is don't allow them to get back into the game, don't allow them to get their feeling again, because that's where Manchester can be quite strong.
Edge back to Miles Chadwick, who came on at half-time. Both goalkeepers actually switched in the half-time break, with Jamie White coming on for Loughborough as well, so all 4 goalkeepers used today.
This is where Manchester have improved over the years, and I think it's probably natural in terms of their maturity, getting older as men effectively as well. But you see, like they concede 1 goal and it ends up just being 1 goal. It doesn't end up being 2, 3, 4 in the space of a couple of minutes. And I know that's something younger players do sort of struggle with initially, is how can you take that momentum out of the game? Are you going to do it through keeping possession, prolonging possessions, or are you going to be a little bit more low risk for the next 2, 3 minutes, clip a few balls over the top, let it go out, let's set up again? But again, I just feel like Loughborough are just allowing this Manchester team just to get back into it bit by bit, which they don't need to.
And they're really fortunate there. They've not fell further behind. That almost ricochet off Jake Barnes, wasn't it? And very nearly just dropped in. But yeah, I don't think he's necessarily.
So if we look again here, this first line is very high for Manchester. There's a massive space between the first and second line. You can play the overload. They're only committing 2 players, and you need to stay there as a 3. Try and beat that first line, either through cutting through and stopping in that moment exchange, of course, or cutting through and then the opposite winger will cut through. But they just need to exploit that overload on the first line a little bit better at the moment.
Good footwork from Jay Barnes there, and Joe Humes forced into emergency defending almost. Really good from Barnes on this side.
Yeah, really good player. Like I said, very, very aggressive with the ball, very aggressive into spaces as well. Some a similar mould to Harry Tozer probably, and he sort of filled that gap quite well this season.
Here is Barnes, looks for Thompson. Manchester just having seemingly spell after spell of 20, 30 seconds of possession, isn't it, where Loughborough not quite getting any kind of pressure on the ball, really, and it's been very easy for them to...
And again, like that's the problem when you don't apply pressure on the ball, that the passing lanes are open. And the second problem is if you don't apply pressure on the ball in your own half, passing lanes open, which are probably going to result in an opportunity very quickly.
Jamie White, first time we've seen him come out of goal. Right foot keeper, different. We need a better ball into him than that, I think, to deal with. Actually does quite well to just maintain possession, and you see Jamie's just checked back in there, hasn't he, and just wants that to feed rather than... I think this is probably the 4 where I'd want, if I was Jose, would want to go and be a little bit more aggressive and go and assert yourself. You've got probably your 2 in Ivan and Fabio, you 2 really big 1v1 players, haven't you? And then Jamie, we know, can be aggressive, and Joe Hume's experience could support what they're trying to do, but all just feels a bit easy.
Just a little bit of doubt again between either following or exchanging there, and then of course the pressure in a situation where they could have pressed the ball then doesn't allow them to.
Myveld, there we go. 3-1. Jan Myveld finding space between those lines, finishing well past Jamie White. Keeper had no chance really, did he, with that one?
Yeah, again, like really good finish, high into the goal from a short distance. Keeper is always going to spread or go into that nice block save as well. So yeah, really good finish in off the post and high.
Again, just earlier in that move though, he was able to skip through probably the first challenge, Jan, for me, where wasn't aggressive enough on the challenging when they went and engaged, and he allowed that overload. And where they've been able to have some joy. He's all a bit too passive. Not what I'm used to seeing at all from this Loughborough team. I don't think the game plan, it was obviously a game plan they looked to instigate and just not really work for them. And
So again, you see that situation there. They've exchanged Sam, and he's just stopped in the middle, and now all of a sudden he's the free man, and able to connect and link, and that's something they've got to try and do in attack as well. Loughborough is, again, similar situation. If Manchester are going to exchange on that first line, slow down your speed of run, stop between the lines, and then just connect as well.
Hume finds Tom Dorr. Looks forward for Teixeira. Ball just as well there, but so does Jan Meidveld. Good covering. Teixeira. I don't think Ivan can have many complaints with that one. He is, but good defending again from Jan Meidveld, wasn't it? Manchester's last goal scorer.
Yeah, of course, former Loughborough player as well. I've been there for years, come through the ranks there.
And I think that's probably the other thing that they've perhaps lost is Jan's experience, and also very good coach, and had quite a big part in what they did off court.
I think naturally with COVID, of course, and those university programs suffering a little bit, whether it was Loughborough, I know at Uni of Hearts as well, players not being able to commit as much on that side. So it does feel like it's been a couple of transitional years as well for them, but I'm sure they'll be back in terms of a lot of recruitment over this summer into that sort of next crop of 19s, and naturally with England 19s coming back, those types of players will start to seek universities that are strong in futsal. I know the programme that you guys have at Derby as well, Matt, has really pushed on in the years, but of course Loughborough, historically the top university side.
Yeah. Door. Good save, Miles Chadwick.
Yeah, it's the first real time that you've seen them sort of connect as a three at the back, stay sort of with that width and offering the depth through Ivan as the pivot there, and then wait for that pass, flatten them out, play it into the pivot, and then get runners off. It's just something they've got to try and do a little bit more as well if Ivan is on the court.
Uniatovic finds Karimi. Edge now, and he's able to find that diagonal pass into Araujo. Switches it. Sam Dark does well. Finds Ivan Borges, and good save, Miles Chadwick. He's out quickly, covered the ground, and Loughborough corner. Probably the first time that they've got lucky with one of those transitions and broke through.
Yeah, definitely. It's probably from that, like you said, that passive nature a little bit, maybe into the 50-50s as well. But yeah, starting to think that they need to go and get goals now. It's again another vertical combination that they're really working on there, which is making Manchester suffer a little bit.
Yeah, it feels like this four that are on now have come on with a real impetus, doesn't it? And almost like a bit of a change. See, I think these are the areas now where can they go and engage and stop Manchester having that. Those spells we were talking about, that 20-30 seconds after Loughborough scored, where they were just able to maintain possession and be a little bit more aggressive.
Manchester won't want it to be an open game. They won't want it to be a physical and battle for them. And again, like if you can do that over the next few minutes and not allow them to have those possessions of 30 seconds, 40 seconds, psychologically you can gain an advantage there as well. So can you play forwards? Can you start to punish them a little bit in terms of pressing as well? Again, seeing a penalty in here now.
Penalty and a yellow card for Araujo. Luke Abdi's done really well there, because he was almost... Beauty is interesting playing with... We obviously have a pivot who, in Pav Tomczak, who not many people have, and Pav quite often say to our goalkeepers, like, play it in, let me compete, and I think that's what all that passes from Jamie there, and Luke's done the rest, hasn't he? And won his side a penalty. Great opportunity here for Joe Hume to pull one back, get Loughborough back in this one. Goalkeeper change on the penalty as well, quite interesting one. Kind of bowing in for it. Nurse just taking his time, making sure the players are back, required distance, and
Jay Bonds looks quite close to the goal at the moment.
He is. Hume then steps up. 3-2.
Yeah, well-placed penalties. As a keeper in those scenarios, sometimes I think you've just got to stay a little bit bigger in the goal and try and stand upright and just move to one side, and then allow the penalty takers to sort of try and do a job and get that ball past you. You have to remember it's really hard to save a 6-metre penalty, so just got to make yourself as big as possible, I think.
I know it's something that Jez Paulson has said countless times to our younger goalkeepers, like still in and around the club, and he, working with them last year, he was forever sort of saying just stay big and make yourself as big as possible and just pick a side and almost gamble with it, try and do your homework beforehand, and something he was very good at.
And these are the moments now that Loughborough, after sort of out of possession, have to really turn the screw on Manchester, not allow them to have those possessions. In possession, I'd be looking to get the ball back on court ASAP and really start to turn the screw a little bit as well. Don't allow them to settle down, use the momentum to really drive and go forward. Play those vertical balls into the pivot, causing that problem again.
Luke Abdi's starting position, much different there as well, where he's trying to get in between those lines that we've been talking about straight away, rather than being quite flat, and he'll almost try, he's so quick, Luke, I think he'll try and work off Ivan as quick as possible on that. Yeah.
Again, there's probably an opportunity there from that set piece to really test them in terms of where they scored that first goal from as well. Just disappointed that they prolonged that a little bit in terms of not getting a shot off straight away. These are really the moments that you want to, as I say, play quickly, go against them and turn Manchester back facing their own goal.
Edged as well, finds a do before, and Manchester out. I think there'll be an advantage there as well.
And 2 fouls.
Yeah, there will be. PNS, really experienced referee. Just calming this moment down, and conversations. It's quite a heavy one, wasn't it, on Scott Thompson there? So 2 fouls in there and a yellow card as well for Sam Dark.
Yeah, trying to be smart and do the nice trick of running off and getting himself on the bench.
So 10 minutes to go. Manchester 3-2 up. Loughborough much better since half-time, looking to engage. A bit easy for Edge there, and great opportunity. Sibri does well in the end.
Again, that whether it's an exchange on the first line, if it's not, and then that secondary pressure to the wide. If not, Manchester are always going to find that diagonal ball after the ball goes wide.
Dud as well there, because Abdi had just crept out, tried to almost cheat on that corner and left that gap.
See, they've been a little bit more aggressive now, which is good, but just need to be aware not to dive in. Manchester can exploit if you dive in as well. Jamie Hunter there diving in like he did on Jan's goal. Just need to slow down, know you want to try and win the ball, but yeah, work on your footwork, slow down, and then force Manchester either disrupt or force them backwards.
Mistake by Hunter, gives the ball away. Barnes finds a do before.
Yeah, and I think that's where Luke Dabney in that situation does a really good first movement in terms of curving all the way from the far side. But then he's got to slow down and sort of offer the 1-2 first before then going for the parallel. As Jeff's body position was sort of shutting that parallel off, so it's a good opportunity to combine and go 1-2 for Jamie Hunter to gain Jeff's back.
Edge finds Barnes. Again, Manchester just happy to have possession.
This is the danger here again. If they can get a couple of 30-second stints, they'll take the sting out of the game, and then you're trying to fight against that momentum again.
Really clever pass. Finds Barnes. Second post.
Yeah.
Second time lucky for Jeff Adu before.
And again, that pressure on the first line, not closing down the passing lanes to be able to play that diagonal ball. Just, again, a little bit disappointing in terms of that pressure on the first line, especially knowing how Loughborough press predominantly, even all of through this season, being in your faces. Just got to apply a lot more pressure to the ball.
Yeah, disappointing one for them. Brighter start to the second half, yet find themselves 4-2 down. Jeff Adu before second of the game. Manchester back in control of this. Again, now trying to, this is more like what you'd see, isn't it? Trying to be a bit more aggressive. Yellow card for Jan Myveld.
Sure, that's happened many a time in training over the last few years.
Thompson does really well, finds Richardson, great save, Jamie White.
Again, really simple free kicks set up in terms of the L again, but that first player, Fabio, in that situation there has to slow down to sort of make Scott Thompson doubt whether the ball's going to him instead of across before he actually plays it across. If not, he's just going to step out, know that ball's going to him, and that's where he's been able to intercept it.
We had a really similar one against Loughborough last week, which led to a goal where Liam Hunt over the free kick, and the first player, I think it was Fraser, Corden going through, and the pass was, no, Fraser was the striker, I can't remember who was going through, and just, yeah, slowing down and giving that little bit element of doubt, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just and disguised from the taker as well. The taker, once the taker opens up his hips to go across there, I know the ball's going across there. Taker can run to it on a different angle and look as if he's going to shoot or combine down the line as well, and then a flick of the hips as well. So it's just those little details which, again, could have been a great opportunity for them, and it then caused an opportunity for Manchester.
Hume finds Fabio Teixeira.
Needs balance.
Doors diagonal only finds Manchester bench, and Manchester gain possession back. There's Richardson. Myveld now.
It's good to see Sam, a legend of the game, back on court.
He's played quite a few in these small spells during the course of the season when they've needed him, hasn't he? Where just steps in, been around so many years, great mind for the game as well, and it's nice to see him combining. He's playing in coaching time at the end of his career.
Yeah, no, definitely, and the work they've done as well, especially in the academy and stuff like that. I was speaking to Simon just there before on the side to raise that academy to 150 kids in the main one, and then of course all the satellite clubs that they've set up all the great work they've done over the last X amount of years, 10 years or so. Sam's been at the core of that since they started, of course.
Jordan Edge looking for the return ball. DeShera does well. Just opened up for a split second there, didn't it, for Edgy, and he's never going to turn down those opportunities to drive in.
Yeah, again, that first player cutting through, stopping on the second line, and then the next player combining with them and running off the back of the first line defence's shoulder. Passing lanes just open too much at the moment.
Yeah. Sam does well, keeps the attack alive, and Sam Richardson close to Manchester's fifth. Joe Hume just probably guilty of trying to force that ball forwards there a little bit once
definitely.
Transition. And it's the danger, isn't it, for Loughborough's quite a young side, especially without Neil Morgan, who picked up an injury last week. Just in these moments now at 4-2, perhaps in danger of poor decisions costing them. And
yeah, I'm having a look at the players here at the moment and the ones on the bench, and a few frustrations, just a few discussions and conversations, a few heated sort of debates going on, and I think this is the time when you've got to try and pull together, and especially 4-2, 6 minutes to go, game can change very, very quickly. So it is time maybe to call a timeout, just get the boys in, calm them down. I think Fabio and Tom at the moment, very heated, a little bit emotional. Might be worth just pulling them aside and sort of just having a chat with them.
Jamie White does well, keeps the ball in play. Manchester seemingly fully in control of this one again now, just in front of Jan Myveld, wasn't it?
Yeah, they've seemed to manage the momentum really well, Manchester. Even when they've conceded that goal, like we said before, it stays at one goal. It doesn't become two. They only ever concede one and just kill it with about of 20, 30 seconds possession. Taking a little bit more time to go and get the ball. You can see here just walking to go and get the ball, really slowing it down, letting Loughborough get really heated. You can see here the four Loughborough players just having little words with each other, which I'm sure, again, as a manager, you don't really want to see. You want to see them constructively working together in terms of what they want to do to then exploit that.
Yeah, interestingly, it looks like Sam Dark is putting the fly goalkeeper shirt on, so perhaps looking to go a little bit more conventional. Fly keeper, 5.5 minutes to go. Hume wriggles through a few challenges, does well. Finds door, pass just not quite there, is it? Final quality on that one. Last week they had a game where everything they seemed to find every pass at that second post. Today hasn't really worked for them.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem sometimes where you are sitting so deep, is that when you do gain the ball, you're only going one or two attackers. And I know Jose spoke last week on the highlight show after playing yourselves, of course, how they'd worked on getting more bodies into the box in those finalising phases, getting 3 players into the box, getting around that triangle and being able to finish. And it looks as if they sort of executed that with a lot of detail last week, and just today, just naturally through the game plan as well of sitting a little bit deeper, they're not able to get those 2 or 3 bodies into those final areas. The distances are quite big for them to join those attacks.
Barnes looking to be aggressive and drive forward, gives the ball away though, and Hume, again, wrong decision, trying to go 1v1 with Jeff Adu before. We said earlier, didn't you, in the game?
Yeah, and there's a little moment there that he did just before Jeff came across where he could have sort of hit it, and I think that there's sometimes situations where the advantage has been created through that first pass and the parallel. Don't be afraid of smashing it towards goal. There was a player back post as well, and they can be a little bit more direct in those situations, get a shot on goal, let it finish, rather than just letting the ball trickle out.
So Loughborough timeout then, and presumably this to set up this fly goalkeeper routine, and So it gives them a good moment, 5 minutes to go, just to do some of the things you were saying, Juan, about to regroup in and get back together. A few little arguments and frustrations on court. But Manchester, though, seemingly will know what's coming, will have seen Sam Dark putting the fly goalkeeper shirt on.
Yeah, Manchester defend the fly quite high, so it'll be interesting to see if Loughborough can just put a man in the middle there and sort of try and push 2 players beyond and really stretch that last man to exploit that middle space a little bit more, and then maybe find him as the setter then from those wide areas. So it'll be interesting to see if Loughborough have done their homework and sort of can exploit those spaces.
So straight away, Manchester looking to be nice and aggressive with it. Oh, really, really close, wasn't it, that?
Yeah, and I think Manchester got caught in 2 minds there, whether to press it. I understand there's a deep kick in, but the danger is when that happens and the fly keeper goes high, you've still got 3 able-bodied players that can have as many touches as possible to be able to get the ball out of that half and then find the spare man, which they did quite well. So yeah, just a little bit caught in 2 minds. And you can see here they are defending it quite high naturally, or usually you'd want to defend that fly keeper as deep as possible to sort of restrict that space for them to exploit the overload. But here quite high, and you can see already Alex Sibri in the middle there and a lot of space, and Jeff having to come across, which allows that spare man after the switch. So I'd like to see Joe Hume push on, just lack of detail there as well. So what you need here, Jamie, as Alex goes in, is Joe to stay a little bit high, Jamie to pull out wider, and for them to really have 2 at the back and then sort of 3 with Alex Sibri in the middle, just there to really sort of force the hand.
Long ball from Chadwick in search of Scott Thompson. But now Manchester looking to be
looking to press again. It and be aggressive. Tom not adjusting yet. I think Joe Hume might have to drop in as well.
Joe just in front
Joe's probably got to stretch this now. I would go away.
Yeah, right in front of our commentary position, just on the halfway line. Not really involved, is he, in that situation?
Yeah,
so
he needs to take Scott Thompson away and just give that space in the middle. You can see now they've worked it well. Could have had the opportunity there because Uriel was all the way over the other hive to drive towards Jeff here and create a 2v1 out here. Again, probably just looking at the clock and getting a little bit nervous there. And that's the problem with defending the fly keeper so high from Manchester. You saw the distances that Uriel had to cover there, just a little bit too much.
good save, Miles Chadwick. Just
yeah, so if you compare that one to the first half, which Sam Meisel with the goal as well, you can see Miles, the reason he's used that save is his body weight is a lot lower, and that's the reason he's used that save. It's a little bit more upright, he probably would have gone with his leg. So really good example of when to really use that football dive save.
Jamie Hunter really wound up in front of us. Just felt there was a lot of contact on that last challenge. No foul given by referee Jordan Griffiths. Again, Jamie's probably one who just needs to find his head almost again in this one.
Yeah.
Really frustrated.
He just needs to maybe prolong the attacks by a couple more passes, allow the overload to happen and then exploit it, and not really try and force it.
Manchester happy to keep trying with that long diagonal, happy to surrender the possession and go and almost put this on Loughborough with this high pressure and seemingly just wait for the mistake. And
yeah. Manchester doing well pressing the fly though, really making Loughborough have to work to get out of it, which is effectively using up seconds already as well. So doing really well on that side.
a little bit of afters there between Jamie Hunter and Jordan Edge, and
Probably just seeping frustrations from the game a little bit.
Edgy experienced enough now not to mind those kind of things. In fact, probably the opposite, knowing Jordan quite enjoy them.
Yeah, I've had a few exchange words with Jordan in the past. Doesn't seem to want to get involved as much anymore.
Again, Manchester doing well. It's pressure.
Yeah, just need to like exploit that overload. They have got 3 players there against 2, and then Joe Hume also dropped in. Just exploit it. Just like play the short passes and then find the spare man.
Again, how much of it is now 2 minutes to go? How much is the clock in their thinking, and why they're probably rushing things? And
yeah.
Tom very isolated there just for a split second. Joe Hume gets out on this side with Siberi.
Great ball across.
Really good ball. Been impressed with him today. I think he's really probably been the strongest performer for me. I think a really good game, and trying to stay calm. He's one who can get quite hot-headed at times, but Alex Siberi done very well.
Yeah, I'd like to see him a little bit higher up the court. It does remind me a lot of the good traits that Wardy has, being very aggressive, being very direct, really good finisher and shooter in and around the area as well. Has a good physical profile as well, so you could use him in that those pivot situations. I think it was an easier decision to give that for the referee rather than allowing the other one.
Set back up. Door with it into Dark, the fly keeper. It's a little bit slow, isn't it? Quite easy for Manchester with the way they're defending it.
Yeah.
Just cover those distances you mentioned. Inside the final minute then, Manchester's 2-goal lead remains intact. Here we go, great opportunity, good save, Miles Chadwick. Joe Hume keeps the attack alive. Dark, another good save, Miles Chadwick.
Yeah, and I think in those situations, ball comes out, the keeper's committed with sort of the knee slide. It's a good opportunity to take that ball beyond the keeper and then go as sort of Jan attempts there into the empty net.
Yeah, took a knock on the ankle, I think, for his troubles as well. Subs himself out. 30 seconds left.
Yeah, I think it's going to be too short a time to get back in now.
Here's Hume. Looks for Door. Loose touch. Before does well. Definitely you would feel now. This is the game.
Yeah. Loughborough still have an opportunity, of course, to win the Bucks title this year, Matt.
Yeah.
And to get into playoffs as well. So this will probably be playoff semi-final. Manchester probably about to wrap up the league, and Loughborough to potentially finish 4th as well. So yeah, they'll be disappointed, but I'm sure they'll have to pick themselves back up and again go for silverware. The Bucks title probably always the one that they're looking after.
Yep. Definitely one where Loughborough not quite at the races today, but Manchester into that final where they'll come up against London Genesis, who we saw in the last game before this. really strong performance from them, and similarly to the last one, I think the team that's defended the best has been the one that's ultimately gone on to win it, haven't they?
Yeah, no, definitely very different strategies, of course, from Manchester and Genesis in terms of how they both defended today. But I think Genesis applied the pressure when they had to a little bit better than what Loughborough were probably trying to do in those lower block or middle block scenarios. So, yeah, really good. As I say, it will be a really good battle. That those two, Genesis, some really strong 1v1 players. Manchester futsal wise, absolute quality, as well as some good 1v1 players as well. So can't wait to see Claudio and the likes of Carway again against the likes of Jordan Edge and Jeff.
Yeah, you had to pick a player of the match. Where would you go in this one?
I think naturally, like, just Jordan Edge just always controls the game quite well. Really impressed with Miles when he came on in terms of some big saves at key moments as well. But I'd probably go Jordan Edge, and then Jan, I felt, had a really good game against his old club, of course, with a goal, and he looks as if he's understanding the Manchester principles a little bit more now.
Yep, can't disagree with either one. Thanks, yeah, Juan, been a pleasure.
Yes.
And from us here at Repton, the fourth game of the day is Manchester with a 4-2 victory. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to Genesis as well, who reached the League Cup final. And also to East Riding and Kent, who we saw earlier in the day, reached the League Plate final. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with the next round of NFS action. From us, thank you very much.